Hey y'all, it's allofdestiny. In this video, I'll be sharing with you all how I did my own feed-in braids. So my hair has already been shampooed, conditioned, and blow dried. I'm going to run the Let's Jam conditioning gel by Dark and Lovely down this initial part that I made. And by doing that, basically it helps to really perfect the part. Since we're doing 4 braids, you want to start off by parting your hair down the center because you're going to have 2 braids on the left and 2 on the right. After that, I'm going to take the comb and sort of do starting off with a diagonal part that eventually turns into a part that's straight back. If you're parting your hair by yourself and braiding it by yourself as well, mirrors come in handy. That way you can see the back and get your parts nice and straight. Each time I do the initial part, I always follow back up with the Let's Jam conditioning shine gel, just because this really helps to separate which hairs should be on the left and right side of the part. You can do the same thing with edge control. Just make sure that whatever you're using is something that as you brush it through the hair, it smooths that hair out to prep it for the braid. I'm going to take the same Let's Jam and apply that to the left and right side of the part, brushing that through. And I like to show you all my attempts of doing this before I get the actual finished product, just because I feel like it realistically shows how I did my hair, for one, and for two, it just kind of lets you all know that, hey, you may not get this right the first time, but just keep trying, don't give up, you'll get it right. So I was trying to do stitch braids at first because I've never really done stitch braids. I attempted to do it with the comb, and then I was like, okay, let's do it without the comb and use my pinky. And then by the third attempt, I was like, okay, let's just do the regular feed-in braid, no stitching. Then I also remembered my hands are above my head when I braid. I don't know why it takes me a few attempts to remember that each time I braid my hair, but either way, now we've got it going. So I always start off with a small piece of hair because we don't like do the knots in the front anymore, so a small piece of hair helps it to be really undetectable. The second piece that I add in is gradually larger than the first, and then all of the pieces that follow that are about the same size as far as thickness goes. And I know that I'm really not explaining or showing in depth right here the braid, but if you all bear with me for the rest of the video, I'm definitely going to explain how I'm feeding that in. So I ended up messing up one more time, turned the camera off, started braiding, forgot to turn it back on, but nevertheless we have 3 more braids, so y'all have plenty of time to see how we're doing this. So we need 2 parts down the middle because we're going to do 2 small braids. So from the initial section that we have, we're going to go ahead and section out a small piece of hair, making sure that it's straight, and we're going to feed in one really small piece of hair into this braid. You don't have to add in extra hair into your small braids, but to make sure that my overall hairstyle lasts the exact same amount of time, I add in one piece of hair just for the longevity of the style. I'm going to take down that right side, and then I'm going to take a little bit of hair from that section because we also need to do a braid on that side, brushing that through, running the jam down the part, taking a very small piece of hair. I begin braiding with my own hair first, and then I place in the small piece. I keep one piece forward. That's how I learned, so that's just the method that I continue to do. And then you want to braid, and then swing the hair around. And since this small braid is getting connected into one of the large braids, I don't have to braid it all the way down to the nape of my neck, nor do I have to braid it all the way down to the end. Just kind of loosely plait it where you want it to stop at. That way the braid won't come down while you're working on another section. So I have to apply this ointment to my scalp daily. If you've seen my dermatologist vlogs, then you know what I deal with along the lines of the psoriasis family with my scalp. So I'm going to work that in. Whatever you want to put on your scalp, just be sure to do that before you're braiding your hair. And then I'm taking that same jam and smoothing that along both sides of the part. You don't have to use the same products I'm using. Just make sure that whatever you want to use really smooths out your hair to give you a nice, sleek, and smooth braid. So I start off sectioning out a small piece of hair first. I braid my own hair, and then I begin feeding in the portions of hair. It's the same process over and over. Basically, I like to do a lot of checking in the mirror to make sure that the hair is actually fed in underneath and it's not sitting on top. I don't have any mistakes. I did the first braid about 5 times. My arms normally don't get tired when I'm braiding, but for whatever reason in this particular braiding video, they were. Double checking everything as I go along versus checking it at the end. That way I won't have to start over. 2 down, 2 to go, or 3. Yeah, 1 small one. Oh my goodness, my hands hurt. I think I'm gonna take a break to get some tuna fish and crackers, and then I'll come back. So let's talk about the hair that I'm using. This is the Spectra braid. I love any pre-stretched packaging of braiding hair. It's the easiest to work with. Shout out to Abby Nicole on the packaging. She's a fellow YouTuber. The hair color that I have is 1B. Most questions people ask is like, how many packs of hair do you need? If you're purchasing one of the packages of hair that has the 3 bundles in it and is pre-stretched, I would say that you maybe only need 1. But I would say to get 2, just because I would rather have more than what I need than have to go back to the store. So the way that I separate out the hair, I take off everything from the bundle, separate out the pieces. I showed you all kind of like up close what the thickness is of how I'm separating out the hair. All of my pieces are about that same thickness. The very first piece you feed in, you want it to be really small, and then the second piece is gradually thicker than that. Every other piece that follows is the same thickness. I really hope that helps you all. I don't really count the pieces, and I know some people like to count the amount of pieces of hair that they feed in, like feed in 8 pieces, feed in 10 pieces. I don't really count the amount of hair that I'm feeding into each braid, but I do feed in hair the entire time that I'm braiding along the scalp. Once I reach the nape of the neck, I kind of don't feed in hair anymore unless the thickness doesn't match the other braid. So we'll count the pieces together once I get to that very last braid, but for now we just need to do the parting for the other side. We have to do a little accent braid that matches the one we did on the left. This goes in between those 2 braids. Luckily my mom started calling, she had stopped by, so I get a little help with this time. Hello?
Hey, I'm in your driveway. You gonna come speak to me? You been braid your hair?
Almost. Actually, I can come out so you can give me my other part. My mom's outside, y'all. I'm about to go and get her to fix this part. Hold on.
Okay,
my mom is here now. You see this braid? That
so
little
making
one.
a pause like that.
Yeah, I need the little one over here. I had started it.
Wait a minute. You ain't got no big part down here.
This is the section that it's going to come from. Don't take it from this section. It's getting connected into this braid. You can fix that part if you want. You can fix that part if you see better than what I did.
You want it curvy like that?
Yeah, I like kind of like a little diagonal.
Oh, well, it's fine then.
Okay, then.
I just make another little bit
you clip that into my braid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
So
yeah, I just need a little one.
Start wide. You start wide right there.
I didn't try to go wide, but you can match it. I messed up. Hey, Lincoln.
I want a toy.
We ready to go, Lincoln.
It's not a toy. This is a...
Hold your head straight now.
Uh-oh.
You know when I part, that's it. Me and Dominique been working. Dominique, we done put beds together, dresses together.
Why you don't never use the middle part?
What middle part?
The middle part of the comb.
Girl, don't put that thing, you stab yourself in the head with that.
So it don't gotta go all the way to the back of my head. I'm gonna connect it in, probably about midway, past midway, 3/4.
Cut, you cut.
So plait this up because you're going to braid this one
I'm
first.
saying that don't look straight though. I'm looking at a messed up part right there.
Start turn around.
I just finessed my mom. She's about to do my little braid.
What I'm doing, put one little piece of hair in there?
Yeah, and just braid it down. You got it.
Yeah, just the only piece I'm putting in here.
It is. Ooh, that mean I got 2 braids left. Ooh, I'm so glad you came, Sweet Pea. I did the first braid 5 times.
Oh my goodness.
I started at noon. I could never do this for a living.
Let's just get braiding somebody else's hair and take it so long.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, who did my hair?
They do it in like 2 hours, huh?
1 hour was because you can see, you can't see what you're doing.
No, I can't. I have to go back and forth, then I go over there and hold the
Dominique, we ain't.
No,
stop, like stop.
No.
Ooh, he pulling.
Don't brush puff.
Say it again, Dominique. Give me the comb.
No, what you looking for?
No.
What are you looking for?
No.
Okay, that should be about good. You can just start pulling it loose now. Make sure you match this side. How far down you come.
You gonna braid this one into that one, though, right?
Yeah, but I don't want it to be further than that one.
Oh, so stop right here.
Yeah, just kind of play it loose a little bit so it don't come down. You want to do the other 2?
What's all that blue stuff in?
Jam. I put jam down the part to perfect it. But I guess you don't need that if somebody else is doing it. That's good. No, don't go all the way to the end. I don't want to braid within the braid. Just a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you, Sweet Pea.
That's it?
Yep. That's the only little one.
Okay, that's it.
Appreciate it. Okay. Ooh, shout out to Sweet Pea. So now I'm actually using the Cream of Nature Edge Control, guys. And this made the braid so much smoother, and it's just really laying the hair down. If you use the jam, I feel like you have to use more of it, but the difference when you use edge control, oh my goodness, like look at that. So starting off with that really small piece, do what you gotta do. Like if you braid by yourself, who cares if you gotta like hold the hair however you need to hold it. I always start out braiding with my own hair, and then I put in the first piece. I keep it forward in the front, and then I'm going to go ahead and braid. That's when you swing it around, and then you braid. Whenever your hands are back in that position where your pointed finger and thumb touch, that's when you feed the hair in. I feed my hair in on the left, probably because I'm left-handed, and sometimes if I think the piece is too thick for the front because I don't want it to get too thick all of a sudden, that's why I'll say like, okay, let me take some of the hair out. And then after I've gotten back just a little bit, I pick up those pieces that, like I said, are all about the same size. Like all the hair that's laying on the bed and in front of me, except for the first few pieces, are the same thickness. That's like the most X question. Other than like saying it that way, I don't know really what else to say. So there it is right there. I moved the hair out of the way. That's how my pointing finger and thumb are when I place the hair between them. So picking up another piece of hair in a minute now. Okay. So I placed the piece between the pointing finger and thumb. I keep one piece forward. When I was learning, they helped me to differentiate the strands and when to feed that other piece in. So you braid that initially locks it in. Then when you swing the other piece around, it's tucked underneath the braid and also fed into the hair. My pointing finger and thumb and back are in their position again. So that's when I pick up another piece of hair, braid, swing it around, double checking. I don't want to have to start over. Picking up some more of the jam. I always dip my hands into the products I'm using because it helps to smooth my own natural hair into the braid. Since my hair is natural, I did only blow dry it, by the way. And just want to continue that same process, making sure that I'm also grabbing my own hair nice and not super tight, but you want the braid to be neat and laying down. You don't want a loose braid. So I'm continuing to pick up the hair. Then you braid, grabbing, making sure from both sides, braid, and then when you swing it around, the piece that you swing around, people ask this as well. I used to like not know. I was like, I don't know, but I kind of really watched my own self doing this. Oh, excuse me. I really watched my own self doing this, and I realized that it gets fed into that middle leg when you grab for it. Try to do something to really keep your hair like separated in the back. That way you won't like grab hair from the wrong section. You want to do your best to not have to let your braid go, but that was the way I held mine just in case. And then when you start back braiding, really find your 3 legs and you won't really too much mess up. So like I said, I do feed the hair in all the way from the very beginning down to the nape of the neck. That's why I don't count the pieces, because the braiding process is repetition of the hand motion. And so each time my pointer finger and thumb are together, like I showed you all, I know that that's the position to place the hair in. So I'm adding in another piece right here at the nape of the neck, and that's when I really start smoothing the product along my own strands, because I don't want my own hair to peek out from the braid. If you have to feed in hair while you're not on the scalp anymore, this is how I kind of do it. I just put the other piece out of the way so that I could differentiate the 2 strands. Then after you braid, you want to swing around. You think you may want to grab it right there. It looks like you should, but it actually goes into that middle piece. That was my most common mistake when I first started braiding my hair. If anyone remembers my first feed-in braid video from 2016, it had lots of views, not because my braids looked great, but because people were really dragging me, and definitely wasn't enough to make me give up. And as you all can see, anything that you keep trying, you get better at doing. Braid, let that piece go. It looks like you should grab it into that right side, but it's the middle piece that gets the hair, and then it's fed underneath. So I don't forget, no more hair will be fed into this one. I'm going to go ahead and braid it all the way down to the end. Just randomly dip your hands into it to keep the braid smooth. Is it going to be even? Yeah, it's gonna even out. I've used up all of the hair that was sitting in front of me that I showed you all that was laying here. So I'm gonna go ahead now and move all of these pieces, and to count for you all, since I don't normally count as I add them in, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. I'm going to try to feed in 10 pieces of hair this time without opening up a new pack, hopefully. Since I have like some hair from the last time I braided my hair, I'm going to reach for that first so I can get it off of the door instead of opening up a new one. My sister Dominique said when she gets her hair braided, the braider actually uses edge control. I don't like using my edge control over my entire head. Jam is cheaper, so I use that, but I like the fact that this braid is actually sleeker the way that she says. I decided to use my Cream of Nature one on this side. It's not my most favorite edge control for my edges, but it's doing the job for the braids. It works. Oh, it's so hard to see. Then we're just going to comb both sides. For this braid, don't forget, if you're following this exact hairstyle, you have one in the middle to connect. We're going to pull this one in. All right, let's do this. Let's get this over with. Okay, so hopefully if you're still here on this braid, I did not edit this clip at all. You're going to see me do this braid from beginning to end. Only thing, I just sped it up just a slight bit. Also, I forgot to mention, while I do have some more voiceover space, I'll put the inspiration picture from West Coast braids that I had found. Originally, I wanted to do the Pop Smoke inspired braids. I actually cut out all the footage at the beginning of me explaining and showing you all that I really couldn't braid my own hair down and to the side, but I will keep trying, and maybe we'll do that in a different look. It's basically the same thing over and over. Also, you can feed the hair in on the right side if you are right-handed. Try that if you find that feeding it in on the left doesn't help you. And just make sure that you're really grabbing the hair nice and taut, if you will. Not like to where you're going to pull your hair out, but just, you know, nice and neat. Detangle from the bottom up. Also, if you don't run your fingers through the hair the entire time you're braiding. I'm going to feed in another piece of hair because I was looking at the thickness of this braid and it wasn't matching the others. So basically it's that same thing of feeding in the hair and then you let it go. It looks like it should get fed into the right piece. That's how I used to do it when I would accidentally have the hair sitting on the top. But it goes into the middle, braid all the way down to the end, and we are finally done. Also, I know this video is edited for your viewing pleasure down to 16 minutes, but just know in real time this took me about 5 hours to do. I don't leave out much of my hair. As the braids get old, I find that some of the hair comes out for me to lay my edges anyways. I was using the 24-hour edge tamer by Even New York, and then I took the Lot of Body foaming mousse to apply all over the hair. When you tie that down, it really just locks the style in. You can sit under the dryer with that to really seal it in if you would like. Off camera, I did get my mom to dip the ends of my braids the next day. I didn't take my camera with me over there, my bad. Just kind of quickly showing you all, you can definitely wrap these braids into 2 buns. Obviously neater than what I'm doing, so I'll put an official picture on Instagram to show you all more of that. So far, I've been wearing these braids for 4 days. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping to get 2 weeks out of this. But of course, once I take the braids down, I will come and update the description box of this video to let you all know how long I wore the style for. All the products I used are in the description box down below. If you want to see more braiding videos, I do have a Feed-In Braids playlist on my channel as well. Questions or comments, leave all of that down below. And as always, I thank you all so much for watching.
Pretty women all around me cause I'm the young ᶫᵒᵛᵉᵧ. And that's just how I live. Money and pretty women. Baddest